So I ended up with a new car, and I was not even expecting to get this thing. It was not planned at all whatsoever. Here's how it happened. My buddy Justin, who I've known for maybe like 13 or 14 years, he's big into drifting. He posted said car on his Instagram story a while back, and I decided to hit him up about it just purely out of curiosity, just to learn more about that car and the chassis. One thing led to another. I ended up giving him an offer. It was a pretty weird offer. I decided to give him a trade plus cash for a Toyota Estima Lucida van that I had at the time. And this was like an egg van, a downsized Previa. And the thing was right-hand drive, diesel, 5-speed, and all-wheel drive. So it was pretty cool. But I was not expecting that he would take this offer whatsoever. But within 10 minutes of that conversation, he calls me back and says he'll do it. So then me, of course, being a man of my own words as well, I decided to move forward with it. And then, now I'm an owner of this new car. And it's also going to be a pretty big project, too. Even though the car was very well sorted by Justin and pretty much built, there's still a lot of things that I need to kind of get into my own flavor and standards and all that stuff, which I'll go through in a bit. So not only do I have a new car, I also have a pretty big project on my hands, which honestly I'm not even sure if I want to take on at the moment. But can't really stop that. The ship kind of sailed on that front. Another thing that is kind of different, or I wasn't expecting, was I told myself a while back that I would probably never do another Japanese car, and this is a Japanese car. Because I've had so many of them and just like building and modding them, it's a very similar program for all those Japanese cars, like 90s or 80s Japanese cars. Pretty similar in how you kind of go through them and all that stuff. And objectively, I personally like European cars more just for their engineering and I guess over-engineering and their quality, fit, and finish. But of course, I think overall Japanese cars are just easier to mod and get into and kind of get out there and drive. So I think for that purpose, I think it should work out pretty good. So that's just a quick run through and background of how this car got into my hands. I've already had this thing for a couple months. I've done a few things to it already. Didn't waste any time with that. And before I kind of get into what I've already done and what I plan to keep doing, let me just stop talking and then show you guys what this car actually is. As we come out through the garage, you can see that I have quite a few parts I'm starting to accumulate already, so things are definitely starting to cook. And as I roll through the corner here into the carport, this is the car. So this is a 1998 Toyota Cresta JZX 100. As you can see, it looks pretty damn ugly right now because as soon as this thing got into my hands, I've made it worse. I'm not gonna lie. This thing had a nice aero kit on it, but I took it off, got rid of it, sold it, it's gone. Put the stock rear bumper back on, and it has no side skirts, it's got nothing. So it looks pretty beat up. And honestly, when I was transporting this thing to me here in the Great Pacific Northwest, I also crumpled the left front fender. So here's a video of that happening, which is pretty dumb. So I'm not gonna lie, it's been a pretty rocky start with this car, but hopefully we can get things turned around and back on track real soon. The next thing I need to do, honestly, the biggest thing I need to do is get this thing painted because it's black right now, but obviously the paint is just really bad, and that's just how the car really was, even, obviously even when I bought it. Some dude in Japan just sort of spray bombed this thing, and then they didn't really prep it that well. You can kind of tell if you look through the door jambs and stuff. But yeah, it's just sort of just sprayed black, and you can see all the white still there. So it's not that clean of a paint job whatsoever. And in terms of the color, I'm thinking about painting it back to white, which is what this originally was. But before I get too much into like its current state and what I need to do, let me just talk really quick about the JZX 100 platform itself. So the JZXs, they come in 3 submodels. The first one, of course, is the Chaser, which everyone really knows the best. That's the sporty enthusiast model. And then the second one is the base model, which is the Mark II. And then the third one is the luxury model for the professors and lawyers and doctors, which is this one, the Cresta. And that's more rare. I mean, not many people know about it. They also have a door frame around all the doors and the windows, whereas the Chaser and Mark IIs do not. It's just the windows go straight up and there's no frame above the windows. So that's pretty cool. I mean, the roof line is also a little bit different because of that. But yeah, let me just start on the exterior. So stock front bumper got put back on. Aero kit's gone again. There's a BN, I think, grill that got put on. Got the Gannon doors. I need to sell those and get a different set of Gannon doors because these don't fit that well around here. There actually is no JZX 100 Cresta Gannon doors whatsoever, so you gotta kind of get pretty crafty and make something work. These are the wheels that I bought. These are triple chromed 18 by 10 Advan Model 6s. And then these are Justin's old T37s that he had chromed. I'm just borrowing them because, long story short, the Model 6s don't fit in the front because the spindles got chopped too much and they contact the tire on the inside when mounted. So I need to fix that before I can put my Model 6s on the front and then give back the T37s. And then this is a Series 2 Cresta. As you can kind of tell from the taillights, that's different. That's a Series 2. And then obviously the trunk lid has this raised thing. You can't really tell by how dirty it is, but it's raised here in the middle. And that's a Series 2 aesthetic as well, whereas the Series 1 has a dip. It's reversed. It's got a super crazy dark like tint on it all around, including the windshield. So it's kind of heinous to drive at night. I'm not really super fond of that, to be honest, but I'm probably gonna take the tint off and just keep it more of a fishbowl look. But yeah, that's pretty much it for the exterior. These cars are great when they're just simple because that's kind of their nature and their substance, I think. They are just very low-key, simple cars, but they have a really cool powertrain, which is the thing that I like the most about JZXs in general. I mean, like if you look at Supras and NSXs and Skylines, they're trying really hard to be that cool car. And then in terms of the JZX, if you just look at this thing, it looks like a four-door Toyota from the 90s. Nothing too crazy. It's really a if you know type of circumstance, which is what I really love, that type of subtlety. I mean, to most people, this probably just looks like some sort of an Avalon or Camry. To the trained eye, they will know that there's more beneath the surface. And then speaking of that, let's go ahead and get under the hood. Okay, so this is the moneymaker right here. This is a 1JZ GTE VVTi turbo. It's got a stock turbo, but it's been cleaned up. It's got a new compressor wheel inside of it. It's got a Grady intercooler, Grady intake. Let's see, coil radiator. I think this is a Kazama F1 manifold. It's got this cool coolant overflow tank thing. It's got that catch can over there from Odyssey Fab. I put this billet throttle body on. I had the intake manifold cleaned, glass beaded. It came out kind of bad because it looks like primer. It's like too white. So I got to redo that. And yeah, it's got a bunch of other random stuff. And obviously it's got that TRD strut brace. It's got a billet, alternator, and a bunch of other stuff. There's some other things I did as well. Like for example, I had this welded on. I got the radiator turned or converted into an AN line setup. It's got a billet upper water neck, billet lower water neck. So there's a lot of billet going on in this thing. It's not quite all the way there yet, but yeah, I mean, the thing drives good. The boost controller right now doesn't work for some reason. Don't know what's up. It's just running off of the spring pressure, which is kind of low boost. So I need to figure that out. But yeah, and it's also got a brand new R154 transmission with an OS Geiken twin plate clutch and an OS Geiken two-way LSD in the rear diff. Moving on inside to the interior, it's got black Series 2 door cards. It had a different steering wheel setup. Initially, I had that actually taken off and gave it back to Justin, and then I got this one myself. This is a Nardi Deep Core with custom black stitching because they usually come with red stitching. And personally, I don't think red would match anything. There's no red contrasting in this car whatsoever. So I really love the black stitching that I got with this wheel. And then this is Justin's seat. I think it's for sale. It's not going to be the one I'm going to keep in the car. So I got to give that back to him as well. And yeah, it's pretty clean here. This car only has about 40,000 kilometers on it, so it's really low mileage. I just put this new head unit in. I'm going to talk about the stereo system in this car in a separate video, all on its own, because this thing has a very crazy sound system that I just put in. And this dash, while we're looking at it, is actually dyed black because the Cresta never had a black dash. And surprisingly, it looks really good. There's a few spots that had like imperfections, but I had it repaired and reblended in. This dash was actually one of the things I was pretty worried about buying this car because I thought, I have to like rip it out and reupholster it or something, but I think I'm just gonna leave it. And of course, when you buy a JZX, you buy it for this big body action. You get 4 doors, 4 seats, or I guess 5, and you know what? Speaking of junk in the trunk, this thing has a pretty massive trunk, no lie. Check it out, look at that trunk. You can't really tell on camera, obviously, but it's pretty wide. Like you can fit 2 full-size wheels in here. side by side, no problem whatsoever. So yeah, anyway, that is a quick run through and introduction to this new car, this new project. You can probably already tell this thing is definitely gonna be a project. And yeah, there's just gonna be a lot of things I have to redo and kind of change out or tweak or refine, all that good stuff to really get it up to spec. And that's where all the parts that I have kind of stashed in here come into play. So the next move, now that I have the car back, it's in my possession fully, I can go ahead and move this thing into that garage bay over there. So anyway, hopefully you guys are, I guess, excited or whatever for this thing. I mean, it's pretty cool. I like it. I think it's cool. Hopefully I keep it. I have no idea how long I'm gonna keep this car for, to be honest. I mean, I don't keep cars that long. I'm the first one to admit that. But yeah, this thing's been kind of a pain in the ass. I'm not gonna lie to you. Like, it's been a lot of work, even just getting it into this crappy looking state, like today. Like, I've only had it for a couple months, but it's already been just a headache. I don't know, who the hell knows? Like, if you want it, make me an offer, I'll sell it to you right now. You know what I mean? Like, if the offer is good enough. Anyway, thank you again for watching. More to come. Peace out, bros. For real, F GTRs and all that BS. You don't need that. You don't need all that fancy wing bullshit. You know what I'm talking about? Like, you don't need grills all up your asses. You don't need wide body shit. You don't need big badges that say GTR or like Supra or whatever nonsense, okay? You don't need to spend $70,000 on a car. This thing was not $70,000. I mean, it's probably gonna be once I'm done with it, but I'm saying like just the car itself, you know what I mean? It's not nearly that much. And you know what? It drives freaking about the same, all right? You got the 1JZ turbo platform, all that good stuff. Like, what do you need the badging, all this, like, you know, fancy flair and look at me type BS for? You know what I'm talking about? Like, just get an Avalon, you know, just get this Avalon and get it going, you know? You don't need anything fancy, all right? Everyone these days, they want like Lamborghinis and Bugattis and all this nonsense, you know what I'm talking about? They buy Gucci bags. Like, what do you need a Gucci bag for real? Like, what's wrong with like a JanSport backpack or something like that? What do you need a Gucci handbag for? Or what, or a man purse, or a Gucci jacket that's like $3,000. Why do you need to buy that stuff? Just go to Uniqlo, put some more money in your bank account, live. That's the ticket, bros. I'm telling you guys, I've been doing this stuff for a little bit now. I think the new wave is sleepers. Things you just don't look at or you just overlook, but they're sick and they're fast and they sound good and they drive good and they shift good, all that stuff. They smell good. That is what you want. A sleeper. All right, I'm done. Peace out.